It's a cult, that's really the only way you can describe it. It mostly consists of two groups of people. That's essentially what just happened with Nikki Haley, and the person who seems to have lost it the most is Donald Trump. There are some people who have completely lost it, the kind of people we see in the House of Representatives. Then there are others who are basically afraid to speak up. George Conway just called J.D. Vance a Yale graduate who talks like he's smart but says absolutely nothing. Ouch. That's like saying someone owns a Ferrari but doesn't know how to drive it, just sits in the garage making engine noises with their mouth. In this video, we're breaking down Conway's harsh critique of both Vance and Trump, which has angered many in the MAGA world. If you've ever wondered why Vance's elaborate speeches leave you feeling empty, Conway just explained why, and Trump's reaction shows it struck a nerve. Before we continue, I'd like to ask a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a moment to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs nothing, but it makes a big difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you. Now back to the video. Have you ever listened to someone talk for 10 minutes and thought, what did they even say? Vance often says things like, generally speaking, not in every case, less government is better than more, because you don't want too powerful a government, you might not like the next one. He talks about the disease of liberalism in the 1960s and 1970s, and now claims it's a kind of terrible development on the right. He argues that to determine whether a specific gun regulation is constitutional under the Second Amendment, we must look at statutes passed in Maryland in 1645. George Conway put a name to that hollow feeling, the J.D. Vance experience. Conway didn't just criticize Vance, he took him apart with the skill of someone who knows what he's talking about. As a fellow Yale law graduate, Conway is especially good at noticing when someone is using their education to appear insightful without actually saying anything. According to him, Vance is the definition of empty rhetoric, someone who has mastered the art of sounding deep while saying nothing of value. It's like Vance learned all the complex words but forgot to include any real ideas. Vance has described the current administration as profoundly evil, in ways Americans supposedly can't comprehend. Now the problem is, he's back. Even if Americans realize what's happening, and they're starting to, Conway points out we've reached a stage of illegality, immorality, and depravity in the federal government no one could have imagined. Conway nailed it when he said, Vance speaks in sound bites that sound smarter than they are. We've all met someone like that at a party, someone who uses big words to mask the fact that they have nothing interesting to say. But in this case, the person doing it could be one step away from the presidency. What's most striking about Conway's critique isn't just that Vance sounds empty, it's that he's doing it on purpose. It's not that he's unable to form real thoughts or take actual positions, it's that he's deliberately avoiding them. Conway suggests Vance is trying to sound profound while hoping no one notices he doesn't know what he's talking about. That's not just embarrassing, it's calculated political theater. What makes this even more concerning is Vance's claim to represent the working class. Conway called this out, pointing out that Vance has spent most of his life in elite circles while pretending to relate to ordinary people. It's like watching a billionaire wear a hard hat for a photo op, then immediately sanitize his hands as soon as the cameras are off. Vance graduated from one of the top law schools in the country. He should be capable of thoughtful analysis and meaningful policy ideas. Instead, Conway suggests all he took from Yale law was a way to sound abstract, a way to impress people without saying anything meaningful. That might work at high-end social events, but it's disturbing in someone who could be second in command of the country, the one who's acting irrationally, and others are becoming even more extreme. As Nikki Haley noted when she was being honest for a few weeks in the spring, if it's 74 or 75 degrees, he's saying it's freezing. This ties into the ongoing false claims about the election. He's mentally unstable, and he's getting worse. We see it every day in the courthouse. We see it when he stands outside complaining about the temperature, even when thermometers in the courtroom show otherwise. Conway's criticism is particularly harsh because it suggests that this emptiness isn't accidental, it's Vance's entire political strategy. He's not failing to say something by mistake, he's intentionally avoiding substance, because actually taking positions could cost him votes. It's cynical politics at its worst, a calculated gamble that voters will be drawn to the sound of intelligence instead of requiring actual intelligence. When you think about it, there's something deeply insulting about Vance's approach. It assumes voters are too ignorant to realize they're being given an empty intellectual sandwich, just bread, no filling. Conway's critique implies that Vance knows exactly what he's doing, which makes it even worse. He's capable of substance but chooses emptiness because it's politically convenient. What's especially damaging about Conway's analysis is that he sees Vance as a political figure who prioritizes performance over substance. In other words, Vance isn't just occasionally performing, his entire political identity is a performance. There's no real J.D. Vance behind the scenes, only a carefully crafted character built to promote his career, not to represent his voters. The truly unsettling part of Conway's critique is what it says about American politics in general. If someone can rise so far just by sounding intelligent without offering real substance, what does that say about our political system? It suggests we've entered an age where the appearance of competence matters more than actual competence, where sounding knowledgeable is more important than truly knowing. As troubling as style over substance politics may be, Conway reserves his sharpest psychological critique for the man at the top of the ticket. According to Conway, Trump isn't just a politician who lies sometimes, he's like a Russian nesting doll of lies, with each falsehood hiding another, even larger one inside. Conway believes that even if things start to turn around publicly, it won't happen fast enough to prevent some of the bad outcomes he expects. One thing the administration did across multiple agencies was fire large groups of probationary employees. He doesn't remember the exact length of probationary status for new hires, but emphasizes that terminations are supposed to be individualized. Instead, they fired people en masse while pretending to have made individual determinations. Think about that image for a moment. We've all seen those wooden nesting dolls that open to reveal smaller versions inside. Conway's metaphor presents Trump as a moving, speaking bundle of layered lies, with nothing solid at the center, just deception all the way through. Conway doesn't stop there. He explains that Trump will lie, then lie about the lie, then lie about lying about the lie, and so on. It's like watching a skyscraper of falsehoods being built, each new level more disconnected from reality than the last. You almost have to admire the architecture. If it weren't so dangerous to democracy, what gives Conway's critique its power is that he's not simply calling Trump dishonest. Many politicians stretch the truth. Conway is suggesting something more disturbing, that Trump's entire existence is built on layers of fabrication. It's not about the occasional fib or exaggeration, it's an alternate reality where truth has no place. The alarming part, according to Conway, is that Trump's dishonesty isn't even calculated anymore. Most politicians lie for strategic reasons, they know they're doing it. But Conway argues Trump has lied for so long that he can no longer tell what's real and what's not. The lies have become his reality. Imagine living in a mental space where whatever you think becomes truth. That's the Trump Conway describes. He doesn't hold back on the psychological assessment either, calling Trump a narcissistic sociopath. That's not just name-calling, it implies Trump's actions stem from serious personality disorders, a narcissist who always believes he's right, combined with a sociopath who doesn't care who he harms. It's a dangerous combination for someone with power. Unlike most politicians who try to reflect and make decisions, Conway says Trump acts based entirely on emotion. If something angers him, he attacks. If someone praises him, they're brilliant. If someone criticizes him, they're the enemy. It's less a structured worldview and more like a toddler's emotional swings, except this toddler has access to nuclear codes. According to Conway, this psychological pattern makes Trump incapable of growth or change. It's just how he is. Retribution against his enemies, and by picking two people who are completely loyal to him, these are the two perfect people to run an FBI that's controlled by a president who's a criminal. He spread his disinformation about January 6th and Spygate even back in 2016, and that's what Bonino got on the radar for, which got him permanently removed from YouTube. How can you learn from mistakes if you don't believe you make any? How can you improve if you already think you're perfect? Conway's assessment suggests we're seeing the same Trump as always, just with higher stakes and more people enabling him. Perhaps the most brutal part of Conway's critique was his comparison of Trump's leadership skills. While most critics focus on policy failures, Conway went straight for the jugular, suggesting Trump couldn't successfully lead people anywhere more complex than a fast food line, the kind of insult that hits hard because it's so specific. You can instantly picture Trump struggling to organize anything more complicated than a burger order. What makes Conway's criticism stand out is that it's not coming from a lifelong Democrat with an axe to grind. Conway comes from conservative legal circles and was once considered for high-ranking positions in the Trump administration. When someone who should be on your team compares your mind to a Russian nesting doll of deception, that's not just criticism, it's a 5-alarm warning. The truly alarming part of Conway's analysis isn't about Trump as a person, it's about what happens to a country when millions choose to follow someone living in an entirely different reality. If Conway is right, Trump isn't just lying to his supporters, he's inviting them into a world where facts don't matter and truth is whatever feels good at the time. From Trump's personal fantasy world, we zoom out to something potentially more disturbing: the political buddy comedy nobody asked for. What do you get when you pair America's most notorious reality denier with his Yale-educated apprentice? According to Conway, it's a masterclass in selling absolutely nothing while convincing millions they're buying something valuable. There are over 600 federal judges trying to run the government through litigation because the president is refusing to do his job. And not only refusing, basically saying forget you to the responsibilities he has. We've had majorities in both houses of Congress in the past that have outright refused to hold this executive and his previous administration accountable. They're refusing the appropriate remedy, and this is what made JV laugh when you guys put it on the internet, laughing at me. The correct solution, which the framers intended, was impeachment and removal when a president refuses to do his job. Conway didn't just criticize these men individually. He put them side by side and showed they're essentially the same product in different packaging. He portrayed both Trump and Vance as empty suits selling hot air to desperate voters, which might be the most efficient political insult in a long time. It's like they're both selling invisible clothes to a country afraid to admit it can't see anything. The comparison gets even sharper when Conway outlines their different flavors of emptiness. Vance, with his fancy Yale education, tries to dress up his emptiness in intellectual language. He's the guy at a party using big words to sound smart while saying nothing of value. Trump doesn't even bother pretending, he just dishes out unfiltered nonsense with complete confidence. It's like comparing a gourmet restaurant that serves tiny portions of nothing on a fancy plate to a fast food joint handing you an empty wrapper and calling it the best burger ever. What makes Conway's takedown especially harsh is his argument that Vance actually knows better, but still chooses to be a Trump copy. That's what makes Vance worse in Conway's view. Trump might genuinely believe his own nonsense, but Vance has made a deliberate decision to abandon whatever principles or intelligence he once had just to ride Trump's political wave, like watching a Harvard-trained doctor start selling miracle crystals for easy money. Conway didn't hold back when describing the duo as a toxic mix of ego, greed, and incompetence poisoning American politics. Imagine walking into a bar and ordering a drink called the Trump Vance. It would probably taste awful, give you a huge hangover, and somehow empty your wallet while you weren't paying attention, yet somehow, Conway suggests Americans keep coming back for more. The scariest part of his analysis isn't just about these two, it's about a political system that rewards this kind of behavior. It's like we've built a game show where whoever can say the most while meaning the least wins the biggest prize in the world.